Well, Fuse, what's up? It's Brad and Alexis here, your Fuse pastors, and we're doing something new. We're trying out a podcast, and I'm really excited to hear some of the background on this sermon series that we've just started and a little bit of extra info to go along with what we talked about on Tuesday night. So, Brad, welcome.
Thank you. Have you ever done a podcast before, like been a part of something like this?
No, and I don't know why I'm welcoming you to something that is not my thing to host.
You are just a host though. Like that is you in your being, so it makes sense.
I'll receive that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we on Tuesday night started a new series called Put Up or Shut Up. And I remember when you told me that you had this idea, I was like appalled. I was like, oh, we can't say that. But not for the same reason that you didn't want to say it.
I thought you were upset about me saying shut up.
No, I don't care about shut up.
Care less.
No, I thought you were saying put out or shut up. And I was like, what is happening? Because, you just say crazy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that would maybe get me fired. So we're never going to go that far with anything. So yeah.
Okay. But yeah, once you started explaining the idea for the sermon series to me, I was definitely on board because I feel like this is how we live our lives. Like, authentically for Jesus, like we want to be all in. So tell us about how this idea for the sermon series even came to your mind.
Yeah, so it's probably been on my mind for a good year and a half, 2 years maybe. So I believe at Passion a few years ago was the first time I heard the song. I don't even know the name of it. You're our resident worship leader, but it quotes from Matthew 6, seek first the kingdom and his treasure and everything else will be added. And that just hit me of, man, there really is one option. Like there is so much confusion about what we should be looking for or looking toward or looking at to find anything. And scripture makes it very clear in Matthew chapter 6 that if we just get the one thing right, seek first his kingdom, the Lord's kingdom and his righteousness, then everything else will be added. So that's where that came from. And it sent me on a dive into Matthew chapter 6 in the Sermon on the Mount. And basically that whole chapter is talking about very holy religious things. It's talking about being generous or praying or fasting, storing up treasures. And they all basically start with do nots. It's don't give to the needy and make a very obvious example out of it and get all your reward there. Don't pray really loudly and try and be eloquent in front of a bunch of people. Don't do that. Do it privately. Give generously, privately, fast. When you do that, don't let people know. Don't make it obvious. Like live authentically. I love that you said that. Authentically for the Lord. All in that way. Not just, I'm really authentically living for the Lord in front of my pastors or on a Tuesday night. So, and I just know that wasn't my story when I was in college. Like I was probably the opposite of authentic. I went to a Christian school and I wore the merch and I knew the songs and grew up in a Christian household and could quote the scripture in front of people. But there was nothing about my personal life that was seeking first the kingdom and its treasures. And I could feel it. Like nothing was being added. Even in Matthew 6, it says, don't worry. I was full blown depressed, anxious. And it wasn't until I really got to the moment where I had to say, I either got to put my life up for the Lord and say, have with it what you want, or shut up, that I really found what that meant. So that's kind of the heart of where this came from. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me think of a verse that I actually read in 2022 when I was doing the Bible in a year. Yeah. And I was like, why am I reading Amos? I'm not going to get anything out of this. And here Amos. I am.
Great cookies.
4 years later. Yeah. Okay. And this is what it says. I hate and I despise your feasts. I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. And the peace offerings of your fattened animals, I will not look upon them. Take away from me the noise of your songs. To the melody of your harps, I will not listen. And that stood out to me so much because it was exactly what you're saying. If you're only doing this for the praise of people, or so you can check it off a list, just stop. Mm-hmm. Just shut up. Mm. The Lord does not want this half-hearted, lukewarm lifestyle. Mm. And when I was in college, I was also not wholeheartedly seeking Jesus, but I did it differently than you. I was like, I know that I'm not all in, so I'm not going to pretend to be all in. I didn't like halfway live out Christianity, but I still was talking about the God that I knew. Mm-hmm. And when I look back on some of the conversations that I had with people, that's where I'm like, yeah, I just needed to shut up because I was not all in, and I was still representing like knowledge from the Bible. And that's just not helpful for the people who are actually trying to seek Jesus or learn more about what he has actually called us to. And Matthew chapter 6 is a really great place to go and look for the heart of why we do the things that we do.
And if anything, when we half live or half speak, but we say we know the God of gods and the Lord of lords, but our life doesn't show it, we're confusing people at best and hurting people at worst. And when we do that, that's where you see people leave the church and leave the faith and deconstruct. We kind of been looking at that this week in our own time, their faith. And that's because a lot of the time, whoever the person was or the leadership was, or that moment was, they weren't just putting up for the Lord. They were maybe in themselves, and that just confuses and hurts. So that's not the life that we want to live. Even when I'm driving and I'm honking or somebody cuts in front of me, like that's the moments where it's like, man, I can either put up and say that nobody's watching me. I'm not Pastor Brad right now. I'm just a guy trying to get home to his wife and his kid. And I could easily make the gesture for the person who cut me off. But it's like, no, if I'm Jesus is at church, then I'm Jesus is in my car. I'm his when I'm walking through my neighborhood. I'm his when I'm tired or hungry or it's late at night. Like, it's about being his with your whole heart. And that's really where I want our students to get to.
Yeah. So, yeah. I cannot stop thinking of the image from Revelation. Was it Revelation chapter 3? When he says, you are lukewarm and I want to spit you out, something like that. I just see this image of Jesus, like taking a drink from my life and being like, that's disgusting. And I just don't want that for my life, for your life, for the students that we're leading, the young adults that we're leading. That's just not what I want for them. So, wow, this has been so fun. We are both professional yappers, and I know that we both love this opportunity to yap. So I hope that people are blessed by it.
We love you guys. Be safe, be holy.